What is going on, guys? Happy January, happy New Year, happy holidays. Hope you had good holiday break. That's what I still call it because I guess I'm still in college mode. Weird holiday with the holidays landing on a Wednesday. It's like, do you even count the week before Christmas and then the week after New Year's? I don't know, kind of up in the air. So I did see a meme. They called the period between or before Christmas and after New Year's, basically until the holiday, or sorry, the weekend of that holiday is over. They called it the taint, and I'm definitely feeling that. But with that being said, happy January, happy 25, goodbye 24, happy to be done with it. And we are here at the beginning of the month for another market update. I have gone ahead and look at my past predictions for what I was seeing last month. So we're going to go ahead and check that, see if I was on the money or if I totally missed it. Last month we actually did pretty good. So we'll see about this month. As per usual, we're going to start at sales price. This is going to, let's make it a rolling 3-year just to get a bigger picture here. So the average sales price based on the median has gone down. I believe that, well, at least for Fort Collins. So Loveland, we did see it actually kick up. Greeley was going up, but then dropped. My predictions was that we would see actually across the board a continual increase. But we're not seeing that. So Fort Collins is down on the median, but we're still plus 4% year over year. So this time last December, we're still up 4% appreciation, which of course, well, I say this loosely, but beats inflation targets of 3%. So basically, if your money is in housing and our inflation isn't what it has been, assuming it's the golden standard of 3%, your money's making money. That's where you want to be. Unfortunately for Greeley, not looking like that. But if you are in the market for a investment property, and I said this last month, I think there might be a lot of opportunity in Greeley. If you want to be on my investor list, so every Friday I send out my top 10 deals that I find. I look on I base my search on some pretty basic criteria, but it's really powerful. I want to find the most days on market, so properties that have been sitting. I want to find properties that have had many price drops, showing that there are motivated sellers. And I also want to see properties that maybe, I don't think distressed is the right word, but are wanting a little bit of help. Um, Maybe some minor updating, a little bit of cosmetic stuff, nothing really all that challenging, something that any even first time home buyer can take care of. There's definitely a lot of good deals out there, especially when like Greeley, their negative appreciation. Um, Good spot. So if you want to be on that list, just hit me up, shoot me a DM. I'll get you on there. So then moving forward, percent of list price. So last month, well, I guess technically last year, we saw, so Fort Collins rebounded, then Loveland followed. I was curious to see if Greeley would, and it certainly did. But Fort Collins and Loveland actually dropped. So is Greeley going to follow that just 1 month later? It's seeming like what Fort Collins does, Loveland does a month later, and Greeley does a month after that. So Greeley is 2 months behind Fort Collins. I don't know if that's fact. It's certainly not science, but it's kind of just what I've been seeing here. But percent of original list price, we are actually above where we were this time last year. So homes are selling still below list, but less below list than they were last year. This does indicate that our market is starting to come back. Buyers are starting to get active. I wouldn't say this is like competitive yet. But this is kind of a tell that we might start to see some competition. I do believe that we are 3 months ahead. I am super excited to see if I am wrong on that or right. Because this is really, like, I would say our January stats, that's our 3 month window. So if we see after January those things, so like, percent of list price, our dollar volume, our closed sales, our homes for sale, new listings, we expect a month's supply, we expect that to go up, usually does every April. I believe we're 3 months early in this market just because of the election and really high interest rates and just honestly a lot of economic uncertainty. I do think that we're going to get past that as we always do. And I think we're 3 months ahead. So I'm definitely curious to see if I'm right or if I am dead wrong on April. It's going to be fun. So then we look at dollar volume. So this is the amount of real estate that has been transacted in terms of the dollar volume amount. So of course, as prices increase, our dollar volume is going to steadily increase with that. But I am actually surprised at this, that Fort Collins had a tick up. The reason I say that was because, well, let's look at under contracts. Because under contracts have been going down. So that tells me the homes that are selling are probably in the, well, we know our median price has actually gone down, but it sounds to me that maybe the homes that are selling right now, we have less homes going under contract, but a higher dollar volume. I mean, then again, our under contract amount is still almost 18% in Fort Collins above what it was this time last year. So that could actually be a part of it. But I do wonder if the homes, if because of the appreciation that homes have been seeing, and if we're seeing higher priced homes sell now, less first time home buyer friendly in that arena, maybe that's why we're seeing dollar volume actually go up in Fort Collins. I am actually a little surprised by this. If my 3 month theory is correct, I would anticipate that I guess Fort Collins is going to continue. I would expect Loveland to rebound this coming month. Maybe Greeley will start to flatten out a bit. And then during March's update, we'll see that tick up. We'll see. So then let's go to new listings. So based on seasonality, I am expecting this to continue to drop. This is going to be one of our indicators of if we are 3 months ahead, because seasonally, our listings plummet. New listings coming to market absolutely plummet through the winter. Really, because buyers don't want to buy a house during the winter and sellers don't really want to sell a house during the winter. So that's why they plummet. Let's see what we get. A plummet. Although a slowing down. So Greeley actually sped up. Loveland slowed down. Fort Collins slowed down. Will Greeley slow down next month? To be determined. Still, that being said, we are still 10% higher. I mean, look at Loveland. That's a huge increase on the number of listings hitting the market in December. So sellers are no longer holding on to those COVID interest rates, those infamous COVID interest rates. I mean, if you got to move, you got to move, and that's just the case. So obviously, those interest rates, as time passes, their value is lessening because life happens and people have to move. So we are seeing more people start selling their properties across the board in all three cities, which that's a good thing. That means more options. If you're a buyer, that means more options, right? You can pick and choose. And also, if there's more options, that means that there's going to be less competition. So we can continue to get homes under list price. But as those options decrease and the number of buyers increase, that'll definitely change. So homes for sale. Again, we expected this to drop. I would expect this in January to continue to drop. And then generally speaking, in February or March, we start to see a rebound. So we can expect that. Now, if my 3-month theory is accurate, that rebound would actually start on next month's market update. So that'd be curious. I am curious. And then under contracts, so isn't this interesting? So Fort Collins, based on the graph, is way down, right? But then we look at year over year, this time last year, we're still up 18%. So yeah, I mean, that was this time last year. We are still above that. And then we started seeing an increase, right? December, property started going under contract. February, we had a little spike in December, or January, I mean, little drop, and then steady increase. So we are just, I would say that we are pretty much expecting this number across the board to start going up. I am a little surprised to see Loveland down, as well as Greeley, and Fort Collins being so different. Definitely interesting. I mean, that being said, Fort Collins is certainly a place that people want to live, so maybe that's a part of it. Maybe that they're seeing that the percent, or the purchase price based versus list price is less, so people are starting to get good deals, so therefore more things are under contract. That would be my only theory there, why Fort Collins is higher, is positive, whereas Greeley and Loveland are actually lower. So then closed sales, if we were to look at last market update, under contract went down. So we would expect closed sales to go down, but they didn't. That's also interesting. So Greeley is certainly down. But Fort Collins, again, almost 40%. Loveland, plus 21%. So the market's waking up. This is what I was saying, and this is why I do believe that we are about 3 months ahead of where we usually are. Days on market. This was actually going down. Greeley was going up. Loveland went up. Everything went up. Greeley still selling faster than what they have historically, at least this time last year, but it is taking longer for homes to sell in Fort Collins, despite them. So it's taking longer for homes to sell in Fort Collins, despite the offer that is accepted being less than the original list price. So what does that mean? Not a lot of buyers out there making offers. The offers that they're making aren't list price because there's not a lot of competition out there, so buyers can get better deals. And sellers are being more patient, so days on market is going to increase because of the buyer desert, as well as sellers just wanting to be patient and trying to get the most out of their home. There's, of course, motivated sellers. They're, like I already said, if you have to move, you have to move. But this isn't really too surprising. I am a little surprised Greeley actually went down. I am a little surprised by that. Or it didn't go down, but it is still less than what it historically is this time of year. And then month supply, we expect this to go down. Actually, so last month's supply, I believe for Fort Collins, was actually positive. And now we're negative. This makes sense because our closed sales is so significantly higher. So if we close more sales, month supply is obviously going to go down. So that does make sense. Tons and tons and tons of options in Loveland, and Greeley has some pretty good options as well. So all in all, is this what I was expecting? I would say it's not too far off because we're keeping into account the seasonality of real estate, the normal sales cycle. So I can't say I'm too surprised, but this market's been very hard to track lately. I still think that we hit the bottom of the market, and maybe we're still in it. Maybe this is still the sweet spot, although I do think we're creeping out of it. So I'm definitely looking. I like doing these. I'm looking forward to next month. So one thing I have done in the past also, I looked at something called Google Trends, and I wanted to bring this up again after the new year to see what are people searching for. Because ultimately what people are interested in is probably what they're going to be doing. So we can almost predict the future based on what people are thinking about. And what do you do when you have a question? You probably go to Google, right? Just Google it. And so there's this tool here called Google Trends, and I've added these 3 terms to, I guess, just see what people are searching: mortgage, mortgage rate, interest rate. It looks like, so after the new year, essentially, we had a pretty big spike. But if we were to compare this to December 1st, because this is kind of like I said, it's kind of like the taint, if you will, of the year. We're pretty much at the same amount as we were at the start of December, but it did have a pretty big increase. This also could be related to New Year's resolutions. So there's a lot of psychology here that obviously I can't tap into. I think when I first did this Google Trends review, we were actually looking at in September, because that's when the big Fed announcement that they dropped the federal borrowing rate pretty significantly. We saw a huge spike. That we have not reached those levels yet. So I still think that, one, the holidays kind of played a part in this, but 2, consumers are still wanting interest rates to come down before they buy. So we might continue to see the average, or the average sale price continue to go down until interest rates go down, at which point we'll probably see these Google Trends as like a 3-month precursor go up. So I'm definitely curious to see if in February, when I do this again, if this has continued to go up, and when will it surpass the Fed rate cut announcement, those amounts, those rates. Because if we were to look at past 5 years, if we were to look at COVID, those are COVID times, right? So I don't ever think we're going to get to that again unless there's another pandemic. Apparently there might be. Who knows? Hopefully that gets figured out. And seasonally, we kind of expect things to drop in December as per usual. And it's been pretty steady since then. So this really does just follow seasonality in our market. So these results really aren't too different. I don't see anything that really stands out as a real tell as to what the market's going to be doing. I think the increase is pretty much to be expected. So this unfortunately doesn't really show us much. But I did want to bring up what we talked about back in September, that spike. Yeah, here, this spike. I did want to bring this up again. When was this spike? So this spike is more aligned with seasonality in the early summer. Okay, so spring. And there was, I mean, there was like nothing for sale during this point. So it didn't even matter what your interest rate was because there were no houses for sale. And if there was a house for sale, you're offering like 30K over asking and escalation clauses and inspection waivers and appraisal gaps. It was freaking nuts. So I can understand why this is down during that season. It was really a brutal time to buy a house, and like this is the complete contrast to that. So, all right, well that's it, guys. I do hope you appreciated, or I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy it. Feel free to leave some feedback. I certainly value it. If any of this stuff is not valuable, let me know. I love constructive criticism. I thrive on it, so don't be shy. And looking forward to the next one. Until next time, guys. See you in February.